Isn't
My
technology fun? It's fun.
I swear. I think that Zoom as a company put in the feature that it conks out for the first 2 minutes of every meeting just to keep things lighthearted.
Yeah, well, for a while there, they were updating stuff and moving buttons around. Did you notice that too?
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, I would go like, wait, so we have the guests, we're ready to go, and I'm like, where's the button? Like, they're like, this looks professional, right? Like,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I, I feel like the amount of time it takes for a person to unmute themselves in a meeting when someone's like, "Oh yeah, Jim, can you comment on that?" and there's a 10-second delay before Jim finds the unmute button. Because they keep moving the button around.
they
Yeah,
do.
that's good.
Well, or like Zoom, I think what Zoom did is they like stacked the buttons or something, right? So for a while it was like under one, like it I don't know, it was helping you, right? Like you didn't use
Uh-huh.
it all the time. So then they like stacked it and I'm like, yeah. It's fun.
It's
My
fun.
my brother's one of those programmers and I was like, please don't talk. I mean, talk to your users. Please talk to your users before you just update stuff, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Anyway,
Anyway, we're glad to have you here on this platform. The recording's working. We're all
I'm
here.
excited. I'm
we
excited.
have
Thanks for having me.
I mean, I think Benjamin and I were both kind of like geeking out in the lead up because we're just like going through all of the amazing things that you have done. We're like, are we qualified to interview this person?
Oh my gosh, please. I'm not that person. So
Oh.
I mean,
I was
I will
impressed
go
with
to
the woman.
school visits and people are like, do we need to take you out to dinner? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm done from the school visit. I'm going back to my room. I'm ordering room service, taking a shower, laying in bed for the rest of the night because I'm exhausted. So please don't take me out to dinner. I might even get McDonald's on the way home. Like,
You
yeah, I'm
know,
not that person.
there's something to be said about McDonald's. It's just it's
Right?
quick, it's easy. So it's not an all the time meal, but sometimes
No.
it's a hit the spot meal. Absolutely.
Right? I mean, yeah, when I grew up, my parents didn't have a lot of money. It was the treat. Like,
Mm.
so
Oh, it
I
used
feel
to be a
like
big deal. I remember
it
here, my
did.
parents would take us to McDonald's, and once in a while, somebody would come in like the whole costume, like Disneyland level of detail costume of the Hamburglar coming up, and he would actually try to take your food. Or the Sheriff
what?
McCheese would walk in there
I'm
and
old enough.
do
I
do
remember
that.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think they did that in Australia. I don't know why. That
Nice.
sounds
No, we
so much
keep that
fun.
some good stuff for ourselves.
That's right. That's
Mm.
right.
I see how it is. Damn. Well, I hope if we decide to include that bit, that McDonald's is listening and decides to sponsor
Yeah, right?
this episode of Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist, brought to you by.
I'll be sure to tag them.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
But yeah, for those just joining us, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist. This week we have Jennifer Swanson joining us. Jennifer, Benjamin and I were kind of also struggling to decide where to start with this conversation. You've done so much. I
I
mean,
know. We were cracking jokes as it got a little off the rail on the side. How can we
So
filter this down from
so I'll start with. I mean, I literally just gave a TEDx talk last weekend, and
amazing.
at Northwestern University, it was amazing / terrifying. So, right, like, but kind of like what you're, like where do you start? So my typical spiel is I literally started a science club in my garage when I was 7. So, and I've just kind of carried that love of science throughout my life. And I mean, you're going to ask me how I got here. I don't know. I mean, sheer determination. In this business you have to, but like love of science and sharing it with people. And I want kids and I say this of all ages, because I have adults read my kids' books, a lot of adults. I just want them to notice the science around them, right? Science is cool. It's everywhere.
It's so cool.
It is.
And the rest of it is just me and all of my passions for science. And I just kind of started and then just moved outward. It's not really organized. It's just,
No,
I
I
like
know.
that.
Looking through your
I like
catalog
that.
of books, you cover everything,
Yeah.
robotics to astronauts and aquanauts to
Hmm.
exoskeletons, and that was the
Yep.
most recent episode, by the way. And of
Hmm.
course, and it's just like just everything. If it has the word
Yeah.
science even just mildly associated with it, that's getting covered, and I
That's
love it.
sweet. It is.
No science
And
stone left unturned.
people are like, where do you get your ideas? I'm like, from my head. like I'm one of those people, probably like you guys too, just loves science. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like the flashy thing that someone, throws, ooh, I don't know much about that. I'm gonna go look it up, right? And then all of a sudden becomes an episode or a book or something.
So I have a question. I was like looking at all these different topics that you covered, like Benjamin
Mhm.
mentioned, and I know if I'm not mistaken, you have a background in chemistry, right? That was
Yes.
Hmm.
your bachelor's, um,
Hmm.
and I feel like perhaps especially with chemistry, especially with a subject that you have like more serious expertise in, do you find it difficult to kind of condense down complex ideas, especially when you're covering so many different topics?
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Um,
balance?
So it's not easy, but it's kind of funny because I sort of feel like that's my gift. Like that's what I can do really well. And interestingly enough, when I went to the United States Naval Academy for my undergrad degree, and I had a chemistry teacher, and he actually kind of unknowingly at the time planted the seed in my head to kind of be a science right author for kids, because he said that to me, because I graduated from the Naval Academy, and then I went to teach chemistry at the Naval Academy prep school, which is
Okay.
interesting. But I had to teach a bunch of people from the fleet, which were amazing, but also a bunch of football players. That's where everybody goes to get their grades up so they can go to the Naval Academy. So I had to come up with a unique way to teach chemistry to some of these students who either hadn't seen it before or weren't really good at it. And so I developed this all of these crazy things where I was like, okay, we're going to imagine we're in a room, right? And these are all molecules, and you can move the chair around. And if you sit in the chair, you're inside the nucleus, right? So that means you're either what? A proton or a neutron, right? And so I kind of got them to understand that. And then my professor said that to me. And I think that just sat in my brain for a while until I decided that I wanted to write books for kids. Um, and to me, it's just make it an analogy, so
Mm.
something that someone understands, like at the very low level. I usually try to write for like fourth or fifth graders as my target audience. um and you just like, instead of it's so many feet long, it's as big as a football field. It's the size of a grapefruit. Like instantly you've put a picture in their head, and then you can work from there.
I love that.
Hmm. How do you know where the cutoff is for using an analogy for sizes? Because we have a little thing where we get kind of annoyed with, in the news, people say there's an asteroid coming and it's big as 37 giraffes or whatever, and that's kind of hard for
uh,
people to put that in there, make
yeah.
sense of that. So where do you make the cutoff
Well,
and you have to start
so
using miles instead of
I like
football fields?
I mean, I like to have something that people can visualize instantly. Like
Right,
37 giraffes. When you said that to you, you're like, right, like you're
right.
counting in your head, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, okay, do the distance between here and the moon, which people don't realize exactly how far it is, right? But they can kind of imagine that and then be like, it's three times that. I like to do something that is a little more well known, that because one of the words I hear from my editors all the time, and they're right, is make it accessible. And you guys hear that
Mm.
too, right? Make
Yep.
your science accessible. So it can't just be for the science geeks like us who love science, but you're also
Hmm.
trying to get the kid in the corner who's like, I don't know if I like science, or the adult, in whatever case. So I try to make it recognizable. So for me, 37 giraffes, does that work for you? That doesn't really work for me.
Doesn't work for
No,
me. We don't like that.
I was counting just like you said.
Right. Yeah,
It's
no.
weird. You could say something as big as a giraffe, and I can kind of visualize that. But when you tell me multiples of giraffes, then I start thinking, well, how big is a giraffe really? And are you talking them stacked end to end, or just the mass of them, and it gets to be kind of a mess.
It's almost
It
like
does. I agree.
someone should invent a system that's like based in, I don't know, units of tens or hundreds, some sort of
Oh my god, you
metric.
and your metrics. Okay. Anyway.
No.
He's Australian.
I no see, but when you work in like chemistry, we worked in metrics a lot.
You
We worked
have
in
to,
metrics.
yeah. If
Yeah.
I do science actually, and I post a daily science fact every day, and I've been doing it for years. And if I ever put anything in feet or miles or pounds, the feedback I get right away is like, "Yeah, what does that mean? I don't understand." Like, yes, you do understand. You're just being pedantic, but technically they're
Yes.
right. You have to go metric first.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this kind of connects me to something that you just mentioned about feedback from your editors, which I think is a really critical point, the idea of accessibility. And it's something I realized a couple of years ago, that the idea of knowledge being accessible is not a literal thing of like, can I access this information, right? Because
Right.
most people have computers. They can go to a library and get a computer or your phone or whatever it is, and the information is there. But intellectually, conceptually, and in some cases culturally,
Mm-hmm.
the understanding is not accessible. And I think it's so important to be able to, like you were saying, meet people where they are and give them analogies and give them comparisons that are, they can understand.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we try to do for our books. I mean, I work for mostly American publishers. I mean, I've done a book with DK in England. It was a Lego book, and some of my books have been translated. I know that was.
Yeah.
Can I just say that was the dream? Because I know this is a side note here, but when you are a nonfiction author for kids, you work one of two ways. One, you come up with the idea yourself, which is like Astronaut Aquanaut was my idea, but sometimes the editors will send you emails and ask you to write the books, which is how I ended up writing like the Big Fat Chemistry Notebook, right?
Mhm.
And I wrote a book about electrical engineering, which my roommate at the Naval Academy was like, "Did they know you got a D in that at the Naval Academy?" I said, "No, I didn't tell them. I didn't put that on my resume. I'm sorry. I can't write this book because I got a D in it." No. But I will never forget the day I received an email, and they just come in through my website, and it was literally titled, "Would you like to write a Lego book?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, is this real?" And it was, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to write a Lego book," which is the coolest thing ever. But anyway, back to your point. So I do think that since I write mostly in English and I write mostly in the United States, that a lot of my books I'm using things that a lot of Americans would understand. But I hope that I do think about things that people of other cultures would understand as well. Because it's like it's not gonna like the whole 37 giraffes thing, that's not gonna mean anything to most people. You got to find something that they can key on real fast. And I love the visual image, just placing it in their head, because then you can build upon it, right? Even if you're saying it's as big as Mount Everest, okay, well, they're getting that it's really, really big, right? They might not know the distance, So if you're like twice that, okay, 37 times that, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's
Yeah.
Mount Everest it's a little too big.
It is. Well, I mean, it's just, I think the other thing I think you have to think about too, and you guys get this too, is that these days people's attentions are very short.
Sure.
So, and it's not necessarily I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying the way we have developed. So you have to get to the point fast. So the faster you can put that image in their head that they're going to understand, the faster they're going to, move through it. Plus also stay with you. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you get 37 giraffes, then you're just like, all right, next, right? And they've just whatever swiped right or left, whichever way you swipe, and it's gone, right?
Yep.
So you have to get the hook in and get the interesting thing going.
When I post our episode videos online, I get very few, we get very few views and sometimes complaints when I post the video of the entirety of the episode. But if I do the little clips that we do,
Yep.
those
We learned that too.
That's because it's shared everywhere. It's constant. Those are just
Exactly.
terrific. It's too
Yeah.
bad.
I really like also the thing that you just said about something to build on, something to kind of like a thread to pull on.
Hmm.
And Benjamin, I feel like we've spoken about this in the past, this idea of like knowledge or intelligence. It's not really a thing. It's not like people are inherently like, oh, I'm smart and you're dumb, or whatever it is. It's rather, for me at least, I've always felt that knowing something is about being able to connect it to something and then to connect that to another thing. And it's like you're building I mean, not like I do think, without knowing much about neurology or how the brain works, that is how knowledge is formed. You're connecting synapses together and just kind of
Hmm.
chaining together different ideas. So if you can pass someone a thread, like the
Hmm.
ladder, they can start climbing. They can start making their way towards the more complex ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
I
It's
mean,
super cool.
I agree with that. I think, and I think that's the thing too. And you never know what someone's going to key on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have had so many experiences where I've gone to schools and sometimes I'm talking to 100 kids at once, sometimes I'm only talking to 15, whatever. And I've had so many teachers come up to me afterwards because one particular child is raising their hand and asking questions, and I think it's great, and they're coming up with incredible questions.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards the teacher's like, that child never says anything in the classroom.
Oh,
And
Amazing.
I'm like, really? And and part of me goes, well, maybe that's because they they haven't hit something that they're curious about, or whatever. I had one kid, he was like in second grade. Um, and one of my slides, I was lucky enough to visit CERN.
Ooh.
And
wow.
yeah, not only that, they gave me a private underground tour of the Alice detector. It was amazing. I know.
Oh, that's so
I
cool.
am this is what I
Wow.
say, be bold, because,
Yeah, yeah.
ask things. Let them tell you no. Anyway, so I was talking, but I just flashed the picture, and I mean, I'm talking to second graders, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I went to this place. They learned, they smash atoms together, blah blah blah. So this kid, you can see him. He's over there thinking like this, right? He's thinking, and he raises his hand, and he's like, well, what happens when you smash the atoms together? And I said, well, they're trying to understand the basic forces of the universe. So, like, what happens beneath, inside the atoms, then like below the atoms? And he goes, well, if you hit the protons together, he goes, are there still forces left? I was like,
What a
Oh, what
question.
a question.
oh my God. I was like, you guys need to call his parents and tell him this is a future particle physicist right here. He was like 8 and he was deadly serious. And I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, there are. And I was like, and then I'm staring at like 100 other kids and I was like, perhaps we should talk afterwards. But the fact that he figured that, this is what I mean. You never know what people are going to key on,
Mhm.
which is why you try to make it accessible, because sometimes you're going to reach that person who is a really, really deep thinker and maybe has never encountered science like that before, right?
Do you
I have a
think
follow
maybe
up
it's
question.
because
Oh, sorry.
science isn't? Do you think maybe it's because science is kind of not well focused on in schools as of lately?
Oh yeah,
Because
we
I
could have
feel
a
like
whole discussion about that. In fact,
because
that's
I'm having conversations with my daughter
Exactly.
now. She's in college, and Kavi, you'd love this, but she's been calling me in a panic lately the last few weeks. It's like, what do you mean nothing happened before the Big Bang? What do you mean? What do you mean there was darkness for 300,000 years? What are you talking about? And she's just letting me have it. How come they never told me this before? I'm like, they weren't hiding it, but it's just like I feel like these are some
Yep.
things that should have been spoken about at least, for a few days when she was in high school.
no, it's yeah, in fact, not to keep talking about my TEDx talk, but I talk about that. That's kind of what my talk is about, is how we need to bring a more awareness of science back into the classroom for kids and for teachers, because a lot of the teachers are not prepared to teach it the way they should be. And that's not their fault. But one of the reports that I list in my TEDx talk is that kids get in elementary school get an average about 20 minutes of science a day if they're lucky. I've heard some teachers say that can be a week, but it also, with my own kids, it depends on the year they're testing the science. So in 5th grade, I got it every single day because back when my kids were in school, that's when they tested science. It was in 5th grade, like the big test at the end of the year. So yeah, I do think that's an issue. Now, when they get into middle school and high school, they have science, full on science classes, but not every kid takes them. So I'm with you, Benjamin. I think it needs to be more than an afterthought, right? Like it's how we understand our world, right? Like, I mean, reading and writing and math very important, but understanding the world is also important too. So
Absolutely.
This is what I was going to
I'm
ask
not
about.
saying
And
the
it was
kids
like
have to come out of high school or college, you
Yeah.
know, as particle physicists or whatever it may be, but
no,
they at least have to come out with, like you said, a basic understanding of some standard principles of nature.
yeah.
I feel like there's multiple levels to it. Like there's getting kids interested initially, and I feel like especially when you have nice visuals, like in astronomy, for example, not to
Right.
focus on my shtick.
Yes.
They need to be motivated. They need to be like, oh, I want to learn about this. Then, like we were saying before, it needs to be accessible. You need to give them a thread to start pulling on. But I also, the teachers need to have the right tools, the right language to use.
Yes.
It can't just be like dry delivery of facts. We're so past that, right? We need to be.
We do. And that's, I think that's, I've talked to so many teachers. I mean, I've done professional development for teachers, and they all, like, I've never met one that is like, I hate science, I don't ever want to teach it. I get I think it's the frustration that they aren't given the tools or the time now to teach it. And the ones that do love it are not given the time necessarily to teach it the way they want it. I know a lot of librarians who have picked up a lot of the STEM stuff in the library classes because they don't have time for it during the regular day. So they've turned into like the STEM groups, the robotics groups, all these kinds of things are coming through the library, which is also amazing. However, librarians are disappearing too. So it's kind of an interesting thing where, because it's and I mean, I have no control over that, but I do have to say recently, like I think the Planetary Society descended upon Congress here to try and promote how big and important science is in the world. I mean, Artemis 2. What I love about that, and I mean, you guys love it too, I'm sure, is that so many people who weren't aware of science were like, hey, did you see the astronauts? Like they went around the moon. I mean, I'm talking to the guy at the grocery store who knows I'm I'm a science geek, but he brought it up to me. He's like, oh, did you watch the rocket? I was like, yes, I did.
Of course. Always.
But that's what we need, stuff like that to get everybody interested.
For sure.
Yeah, I love how what dominated the news about what was going on during Artemis was the toilet broke, or there's a jar of Nutella floating around, and people were not talking about how humans for the first time witnessed with their own eyes meteors impacting the moon and creating that spark of light. Like, come on, that is huge. Toilets break everywhere, every day, all the time. So what?
Yeah.
Someone saw a meteor hit the moon. That's new. This is new. That should have been headlines.
And well,
the toilet thing is funny.
But also, okay, if we're gonna go with the toilet, here's the thing: we've never sent a toilet there before.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
That's
right?
true.
Like,
first toilet to the moon.
We've
That's
never
right.
done that. and
Nope.
there were a little tweaks. Okay, hello, it's called engineering, right? Like, but
That's true.
I mean, the fact that it was in there, and I mean, I don't know if you follow me on social media, but I was
Yeah.
able to get. I don't know if you saw the video where I got to climb into
Into the
a
capsule.
mock-up. It was not the
Okay.
real Integrity, or it was called Orion back then, but that's small. I do not know how like Jeremy Hansen fit in there with three other people because he's like six. I don't know. He's really tall.
Mhm.
But to have the bathroom was not in the one we were in, so I can't even imagine where it was. But I mean, it looked like it was smaller than like an airplane bathroom. I don't know.
It was similar in shape to an airplane bathroom, but yes, much smaller. And if you can
Wow.
imagine, if you're going in, there's that wider bottom, and then there's it points to the top. And if you this part's the floor, it was in the floor, so you probably stood on it if you climbed
Probably.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But even being in the capsule itself, because they had four of us climbing, because I was at this was at Houston's. I was able to do a NASA social event, so I got to meet all of the Artemis
I love those
two
events.
astronauts. We were there in the hangar when they were selected. It was crazy. It was
Oh.
just it was unbelievable. But so we got to do that. The other thing that you guys would love is, so we're there. We get to go to the neutral buoyancy lab,
Mhm.
which we're all standing like right at the yellow line, and they're like, nobody go over the yellow line because you could fall in. So we're all like, because but the next morning they're like, okay, you have to get up early, and we said, okay, why? And they go, well, we have a surprise for you. We said, okay. So they took us out to the proving ground, and over the hill comes the lunar lander prototype.
How
This
did it
guy,
look?
you've never seen 40 teachers and like social, we're all like silent. Everybody's holding up their phones.
Wowie!
It was,
Oh
and then
my.
he drives it around, and we're all just like, and then he parks it, and the guy gets out and goes, "Okay, who wants to get in?" I'm like,
No way.
I was third in line, baby.
I
Like,
would have started
I have three
throwing
brothers.
fists.
I
I
know
would
what
have
it's
made my
like,
way
man.
to the
I
front
was
of that
like,
line.
get out of the way.
Yep, yep, yep.
Elbows out.
I'm a pretty
I
big guy.
mean,
I can
it
knock
was
down a few people.
unbelievable how cool this was. It was just NASA was. I mean, they were on their game. As one teacher put it, this is the best field trip I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah.
It
I've been
was
to a
fun.
few NASA social events myself
Yeah.
over in Florida and Ames here, and they really they are so smart because their budget keeps getting cut, 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 cut. So what they
Yeah.
smartly do, very cheaply, invite social media people to come and just share whatever, and
Yeah.
bam, free advertising. I saw the world's weirdest, biggest gun, and all it does is shoot different types of particles at sand so they can simulate impacts and craters. It was the weirdest, craziest stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Here
I
in
mean,
Ames, there's just this big
it's
room with a big gun that aims at the floor. That's it.
it's I mean, but see, for us, that's like the coolest thing ever, right? Like,
Right?
so jealous of you both. Oh, not enough cool space stuff happening in Australia. Love a bunch of that sort of
Yaha!
technology.
We fly over you so we know we're going the right way.
oh yeah,
We're
exactly.
basically a connection in the tin cans just to make sure that the signal can go back to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but you are important because we need that, because people would, not be happy if we lost signal for too long.
This is true. This is true. I feel like Benjamin and I have a million questions, and I kind of wanted to segue into something totally different.
Sure.
Go for it.
What advice would you give to somebody who was really keen to write science books and didn't know where to start?
Well, the publishing world is interesting right now. No. So here's what I would say. Follow your passion, because when you write something that you're passionate about, it comes through in your writing. So, and I know, like you were talking at the beginning, like, yes, I write books about robots and, underwater forests and all this kind of stuff. And if you look at my collective work, it doesn't all fit together, but if you know me, it's me, right? Like
Right.
it's all what I love and the things
Mm-hmm.
that grab me. And it's kind of like the astronaut aquanaut book. You could almost say kind of is what I do. Like I love space and I love the ocean, but I also love the compare and contrast of it. And so if you look at a lot of my books, that's what I do. So if you're just starting out, first of all, you're not going to figure that out because it took me years to figure that out. But start with something that you're passionate about and then kind of figure out your audience. And if your audience is adults, totally fine. Because I've thought about moving up into adults because I write for fifth graders, but a lot of adults read my books, so it wouldn't be that much more difficult. I mean, I already know I'm entrenched in research and stuff like that. But think about your reader, right? And I know not every author does that, which I think they should, but think about your reader. Like, who are you trying to talk to? Who are you trying to reach? And
Mhm.
that's one thing I'm absolutely passionate about is I want to make it fun and exciting, but I
Mhm.
always know who I'm writing for. And since I write for kids, I'm also very well versed in like what kids are learning at that age, right? Between fourth and
Yeah.
sixth grade. So because you got to know, because if you're going to use an analogy, um, I was writing a book one time, not my idea. Actually, it might have been the electrical engineering book. And the expert wanted to put in a reference to Newton's special theory of relativity. And I was like,
Oh.
what? I'm sorry, this is for seventh graders? I was like, do they even teach this until you hit PhD level? Like, and the problem is they wouldn't let me pin it down, which I'm not sure I could have, but they just were like, well, we're just gonna put it in there, and I lost that battle, and I'm like, nobody's gonna read that sidebar because it didn't make any sense, and it was just so that's what I mean. Know your reader and who you're talking to. Those are and make it fun. Lastly, please make it fun. Right? We've all read enough textbooks.
Yeah. Keep it little bite-sized nuggets.
Yeah.
Jeopardy
Well,
size, like that's what I said. Yeah, I grew up
Jeopardy
watching
size.
Jeopardy.
I love
Yeah,
that.
my mom was a huge Jeopardy fan, so there you go. That's what I know.
Nice. This
Jeopardy
seems like a
size.
solid advice.
Okay. I think I have something to talk to you about later. This is gonna be great.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. What other questions did you have, Benjamin? I know you've got a whole list there. He always
I think
prepares
sometimes when I
far more
make
than
notes, I make too many notes and I get lost. You know how when you go to a restaurant and you get a menu and it's just a one pager and you feel confident and you can get something
yeah.
good, or you can go to a restaurant that has like 1,000 pages and then you're lost. That's my
Hmm.
notes. I, I'm
It's
lost in
like the
my notes.
Cheesecake Factory, right? There's like
I make the Cheesecake Factory of
Yeah.
menu of notes. That's what I do. Are you familiar with the Cheesecake Factory, Coffee?
Yes, it's not what the name says it is. It's just like a restaurant.
that's true. Well, that's just the
I don't
dessert
know if
part.
it's there.
I think I went to one once in LA, but yeah,
It's
they
a
don't have
horror
that in
show.
Australia. We do have
Yeah.
cheesecake. It works upside down here in Australia.
Okay, so what's
um,
your question, Benjamin?
I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm gonna say of all the books you've made, and there's only been what, like 3 or 4 dozen, and um, do you have? I mean, like, which is your favorite? Not because of how
Yeah.
much it sold or how popular it is, just the one that you kind of enjoyed the most. You got that out. It was like on your bucket list of books to put out, and you did it, and you feel just, and you illustrated it, whatever it may be. That's just the one that's. I'm gonna hug this one.
That is so hard. I get asked this all the time with the kids, and
Oh,
I'm like, it's kind of like picking amongst your own children, right?
sure.
So I usually try and give my top three, which by the way changes, right? It kind of depends. One of the ones that is near and dear to my heart is Astronaut Aquanaut.
Yeah.
Because I feel like again, that's me. Like, and that one was my idea. it came about, my editor and I were just chatting or something, and it was one of those do you know moments, and I was like, do you know that astronauts, train underwater before they go to space? And then we both kind of looked at each other and we went, oh, are there more things like that? Compare and contrast. And that's how that book came to be. One of my other really big favorite ones is, I don't know if you've ever seen my Brain Games book, which was based on the National Geographic Kids TV show. Well, National Geographic TV show. This was the first kind of trade book that I did. It came out in 2015. So, and it's still out, and it's probably sold, I don't know, 250,000 copies or more, something like that. It's sold tons of copies. But that was like a TV show, like video. And what they did was they would show how your brain works, but they would show videos. And so National Geographic asked me, can you take that very video heavy show and turn it into a book? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Like those moving
so I
pictures.
did. And turns out, I found out later, they had been looking for an author for 2 years to do that.
wow.
I was the first one that said, sure, I'll give it a shot. But if you read that book, it is all about actions. I have you stand up, I have you stand on one foot, I have you jump up and down. And then I'm telling you what's happening in your brain as you're doing all of these things, how you're thinking and all this kind of stuff. And that we had 7 different sidebars. I mean, this was crazy book. And it was so fun to write. And it spawned 2 board games and I don't know, like 4 other books. It's become this, really big, huge thing. And I'm so proud of that one because that was like my first shot at trade publishing. So it's like I was gonna either kill this book and it was gonna go well, or it was gonna be really bad, right? Like there's no option because this is your shot. You either step into that space or you're just like, no, it's dead. So
Did you
that
help
one,
with the writing and development of the board game version too?
no, they didn't ask me to do that. It would have been nice.
It would have been
No,
clever.
it was a work for hire project because I've worked with big brands, so it was a
Okay.
branding project. So, which they pay you very well. They just you don't get royalties but you get to say I wrote that book because my name was on it. So yeah, I've worked with some really big brands. And then I don't know. I think the third one is probably the one that just most recently came out, and this is another big brand, Atlas Obscura's Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World. And that one I co-wrote with one of the founders of Atlas Obscura, Dylan Thuris. And that was like amazing because that book takes you on this journey through space and time, back and forth with like what we call invention paths. And pretty much it's like it asks the question, if you want to build a satellite, what do you have to build before it? What do you have to invent before you can invent a telescope or a satellite? Like what comes before it? And everything pretty much traces back to fire.
It's true.
Right? Like you go back far enough. I mean,
I was wondering how far back you're gonna go. Yeah, fire.
You go all the way back to fire. But
It's
that
like
one
Carl
was
Sagan's
so
apple pie.
and that one I was actually Dylan was the lead writer. They brought me in to kind of help craft it, but he was kind of the brains behind all of that. And that's what's cool about this business is you get to meet so many other people that have amazing science brains. So you can geek out with stuff like that, right? Like
Totally.
it's so fun. Luckily, I'm married to one of those as well. So everywhere we go, we're like, oh look, we're gonna go here, and look, there's a geek science thing here. Yeah, let's go. We go to science museums wherever we are around the world. It's fine. History. Yeah.
That's so cool.
How did you branch out? How did you find the time to? And then how did you branch out into podcasting? Because I don't think you have time in the day.
Yeah, everyone asks me that. I have a lot of things going. Well, there was this little thing called COVID.
Yeah. I heard about it.
And I had been doing one of my good friends, well, so my first co-host was Judd Doherty, and he has an amazing podcast called Reading with Your Kids, and he had started this a few years before me, and he had me on because I was doing a blog. I started a blog called STEM Tuesday, and STEM Tuesday is still going strong. Oh my gosh, it's like 8th or 9th year, I don't know. And we give free resources to teachers, homeschoolers, parents, whatever, of you can use. We talked about how to use books in your classroom, kind of thing. So he started having me on, and he's like, you guys, and we just like had the best time on the podcast. Well, then COVID hits, and I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Because it was tough to sell books then. It was tough to, like, you couldn't go visit places. I had a couple of books that I was working on that I couldn't go visit the scientists, and it got really interesting. And I started thinking I could do a podcast because I've met so many amazing people. And I really want kids to see themselves as scientists. And so it just kind of started that way. I talked to Jed. He was awesome. I was like, how do you do podcasts? And he's like, well, you listen to them, right? And I was like, no. No, not really. I was like, and he's like, you don't even listen to mine? And I'm like, no. So, but it just kind of started from that. And I was very lucky because I got some really amazing people on the show in the beginning because they didn't have anything to do either because it was COVID. So like Katie Coleman, astronaut, was like her 7th or 8th guest. We had Fabian Cousteau on, Eric Whitaker, who is a big, huge, famous conductor and composer. He was on. I started with that, and then we went from that to I was having so much fun that I just kind of put a call out, and I had, one of my favorite ones I talk about all the time is she was like 22, 23, 24, something. She was just a few years out of college, and she was a chemical engineer who worked creating toilet paper. And she loved her job. And so she comes on and she explains there's a difference between creating the toilet paper that is soft and the toilet paper that's strong, right? And it was the coolest talk. And so that's kind of right. And
there's an art to everything, and there's a science to everything, and that is in toilet paper. Of course, there has to be. You found the person who just loves their job,
right? Yeah. And I mean, we had close to 260 episodes, and I don't think I ever was not interested in anybody we had on. Every single one of them was like, I learned something new, right?
You're a little bit like us, where the podcast is just an excuse for you to have awesome conversations with awesome people, right? A little bit.
Yeah, some days when the books weren't going well, I was like, oh, cool, I get to interview this person tonight.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, Thursdays for me are like, that's my day.
Right? Yeah. That's what I mean. It's a day to look. Now, it's a lot. You guys know it's a lot of work to pull it together, to do podcasts and all this kind of stuff and promote it. And, but we had some of the most amazing people on our shows. There was a scientist that was from Australia, and he studies black holes. I can't remember his name.
You know that one?
I'm gonna need a little more.
Yeah. Oh god, I can see his face. But he played the black hole sounds on our show.
I love that sound.
I was like,
oh, the sound of like the mergers,
the
chirps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was wild. Yeah. It was fun. I love doing that. It was a lot of fun.
I'm very lucky.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's fantastic. It is. It's a delight. It's just a delight. And hearing someone who's an expert in something or just knows like crazy a lot about something. And you're just helping me fill more spots in my brain with new stuff. And that's just, it's awesome. It's like a little bit of Neo in the Matrix, getting that little plug in and just reloading new stuff into his brain. He loves it. Like same thing, except it's not karate. Learning about
my husband and I, we went to Edinburgh. Like it was a short trip, last minute over Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's last year. And I was like, oh, the Royal Observatory of Edinburgh is there. Like, who can I talk to? Unfortunately, first I wanted to tour, but it was closed, But we did meet up. I called one of my other friends, Graham Lau, and I was like, do you know anybody over there? And so it like kind of goes through this big thing, right? I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And then I got astrophysicist, and she was like, okay, I'll meet you for coffee. And I was like, cool. And so my husband, because he's as big a geek as I was, our coffee was like an hour and a half.
Nice.
And we're just talking about, she studies brown dwarfs, and I was just like, this is so cool. Now I love Edinburgh, but yeah, but that hour and a half there, that was amazing. It was amazing.
That's awesome. Graham's been on our show. He's like one of our first guests.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's phenomenal.
Graham's the best.
Yeah,
I dragged my family when we went to go to London just before COVID. So luckily we got a trip in. We were close enough to Greenwich. I was like, we gotta go. And they said, what's there? I said, the International Date Line's there. We have to go. But what's there? I said, the date line. And why? I said, there's this place. It's like a castle. And there's a line on the floor. And you can jump back and forth between days. And they're like, so what? I'm like, just come with me. Let's just go. So we went. Thank God there's all kinds of other cool stuff there. And it's beautiful. But I had lovely pictures of my kids jumping over the line.
There you go. See, and then you have to stand with one foot on either side, right?
Oh, I did that too, of course.
I mean, that's what you do. That's what's amazing. And we dragged our kids all over the place, and they saw science stuff everywhere and history stuff, museums, and they love all that stuff. 2 of them have been to CERN with me. The third one is like, why have I not been? And I was like, I asked you and you said no. So your brother and your sister and his wife got to come with me. So yeah.
All right.
I think besides talking to awesome scientists and filling our brains with all this cool information, I think that was one thing about your shows that Benjamin in particular really liked. I think he has a request to make of you.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're about to segue to our final bit, which are little questions and quibbles. Mm-hmm. But you always end your shows asking your guests to give a challenge to the listeners. So I'd like you to give our listeners a challenge as we're about to segue into our lovely questions and quibbles.
Oh, okay. So my challenge to you is, because my thing is to notice the science or technology that's all around you. So I'd love for everybody to be, wherever they're sitting, look around, count how many either pieces of science or inventions that you see around you. I'm betting it's more than 10. And just, yeah, exactly. It goes up exponentially. You start going, well, there's that. See, there you go, the periodic table. Yes. I love it. At one point, I had that memorized as a chem major.
Right on. You did chemistry.
Nice.
Could you sing the song?
Good job. There's a song?
Oh my gosh.
Have you heard the Element song?
I used to be able to get through. I don't know if I could get through all of it.
Kavi doesn't know the Element
I know what you're
song?
talking about. At the Big Bang Theory, right? Like,
yeah.
Yes, it was on the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Interestingly enough, I could probably sing the state song, not anymore, but there's only 50 of those. So
yeah.
Okay, we'll have to add in the periodic table song as the outro or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome challenge. All right, are you ready for the questions and quibbles? We have 11 rapid fire questions.
Sure.
A nice round prime number of questions.
All right. First off, what was the weirdest thing that you believed as a kid?
That there are aliens, I guess. I don't know. I mean, actually, let me change that. So when I was a kid, I believed I had a penguin who was my invisible friend. How's that? When I was little.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take both.
Oh gosh, I don't remember his name. But he used to go with me everywhere, and I would talk to him. I was probably like three or four. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cute.
Excellent. All right, next question. Which teacher had the biggest positive impact on you?
Oh, that's easy. Her name was Mrs. Susan Roth. She was my 7th grade science teacher, and you guys will love this. Well, it was, let me just say, it was unusual to have a science teacher because I grew up in the Midwest and it was in the 1980s. And so there weren't a lot of female science teachers. But when I walked into her classroom the first day, hanging in the corner was a skeleton, a full blown skeleton. I was like, oh my God, this is my classroom. Like, can I just stay here forever? She was amazing. And I will never forget her. She was amazing.
So cool. So cool. All right, next question. If you had to pick one scientific discovery that you wish you could have witnessed in person, what would it be?
Let's see.
These are tough, I know.
I know, these are tough. Because I did get to see the Artemis 1 launch in person. We were, that was just pure luck because we live in Florida. But so there, I get to see that. I know, right? Honestly, the first thing that came to mind is I grew up watching Jacques Cousteau, Amazing Undersea Adventures. So probably something with him. I don't know if he did the first submersible. Did he do the first submersible? I'm trying to remember.
Sure.
But I would have loved to have watched some of the things he did, and kind of been, along with that. I think that would have been amazing.
That would have been cool.
Excellent. If you had to pick one historical scientist to go bowling with, who would it be?
Oh God, I'm the worst bowler.
Who would be worse, maybe?
Let me see. I think it would be. I think I just have to say Marie Curie, just because she's so cool and she did so many amazing things, before women did those things. So,
Right.
and I know she's like the first one you think of, but I think I'd have to say I'd love to meet her.
It's a great answer.
That's a great answer.
All right, we have a very hard question coming up.
Okay.
And sometimes people misinterpret the question. If you were a sandwich, what kind of sandwich would you be?
Ham and cheese. Why? Because
Because
that's what I like.
Simple. Simple.
Yeah.
Next one. What is your most controversial opinion about pizza?
Well, my brothers would say when I was growing up that I like Hawaiian pizza and that pineapple does not belong on pizza. That's that, and like no anchovies and no mushrooms. I'm a straight up no pepperoni and tomato. That's me. That's what I have. I know it's boring. My husband eats so we order different pizzas. My husband orders the one with all the toppings, and no, not me. But I like pineapple on pizza too. So
I'm with you there. So with you there. Yeah. I love how that question across all our guests has just become basically a poll on whether you like pineapple or not.
I don't understand how that's such a polarizing thing. I don't care one way or the other, but it's a huge.
It is. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand it either. I think it tastes good or not. Besides, if I get pizza and stuff I don't like, I just pick it off. Like, what is the problem?
Yeah, sure. All right. Next question. What is your favorite scientific word or phrase?
Oh my gosh. Favorite scientific word or phrase? Of course, you ask me that and my brain goes blank. And this could work for science too. And I think, I just tell all of my writing students, I tell my science students, be bold. Be bold in your thinking. Be bold in your actions. If you, and you know, I'm trying to think how else to use this, but that's like kind of like my motto is be bold and never give up. So you could do that. You could use that for science and every part of your life too, right? Like that's how it's got me through um all of the, because I might have 55 or so published books, but there's so many books that didn't get published.
That's actually kind of funny.
So you just keep going, right? You never give up.
Right. Never give up. All right. Piggybacking off the last question, what is your least favorite scientific word or phrase?
My least favorite one is I can't do it. There's got to be a way to figure out. And, so when you go to the Naval Academy, they're in your freshman year of plebe, you learn 5 responses, and they're like, yes, sir, no, sir, aye, sir, I'll find out, sir, or, oh gosh, I forgot the last one. No excuse, sir. So that's it. So you notice there's nothing in there that says I can't do it. Right there. And so I think because you're a plebe and they drill this into you. So I was like indoctrinated. But I think I've gone through life like that, is that you just don't say I can't do it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times where I'm like, I can't do this. But eventually I figure out a way around it. And I think if more people did that in science and or in their lives, then you'd realize, that things are hard, but there's a way around it, right? Like,
right.
So these are not maybe necessarily scientific things, but they're kind of like life things that apply to science.
Absolutely.
You turned a negative into a positive. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like
get another negative.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you do. I mean, but you just keep going.
All right. And we will keep going to our next question, which is, what is your favorite useless science fact?
Oh, wow. There are so many that I have in my head.
Oh, I love that.
No, but it's
That's
like,
a
of course you
book.
ask me and they all fly out, but
That's a
I
book.
mean, I'm trying to think of the book I'm working on right now is literally about aliens. Yeah, it's called How to Talk to an Alien, Should You Ever Meet One. And the crazy thing is today, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson announced his alien book that's coming out called Take Me to Your Leader. And it's kind of sort of like mine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool. Yeah. Mine is not at his level. Mine is for kids and, but whatever. I'm trying to think. I know so many different things. I mean, nothing comes to mind at the moment. It's just, there's so many things that are just, you just know that, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I'm going to pass on that one. Can I pass on that one?
Pass. Okay.
It means we have to get you back on the show.
I got nothing on that one.
All right.
All of the ones in my head are like, pick me.
All right, we'll skip to number 10, an easy one. If you could rename one planet in our solar system, what would you call it?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is I would call Pluto a planet again.
Thank you. I mean,
I grew up with Pluto as a planet. We were just talking about Dr. Tyson, but like I grew up as Pluto as a planet, so I would call him a planet again.
Nice.
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
Perfect.
It's a solid answer.
There you go.
All right. And for all the marbles, if you had to sing one karaoke song to save humanity from an alien invasion, what would it be?
Oh God, a karaoke song? So I sing a lot of songs. You guys are putting me on the spot here. You should have sent these questions in advance. All right, give me a second. You're gonna have to cut this one a little bit. Give me a second. I want to give you an answer. Let me look through Spotify and see what I was just singing. Okay, I got one. All right, so you're gonna have to cut that. I would sing Billy Joel's "Uptown Girl." because A, I love Billy Joel, but B, my now almost 18-month-old granddaughter dances to that, and my son sent me a video, so that's the one I would pick, because that immediately puts the picture of her dancing in there. She's 18 months old and she just loves to dance.
Love
So
it.
yes,
That's the winner.
Yeah,
there you
the
go.
aliens would see that and they would love it, and they would see the best side of humanity.
Plus, it's a fun song, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. It's just it's an uplifting song.
I don't
It's
know if we
Billy
can use
Joel.
that
I
as
mean,
like
Billy Joel. You can't really go wrong with Billy Joel. We got to see him in concert too. That was amazing.
So
Nice.
Well, I mean, I was in town for the World Science Festival, and I was supposed to speak at the Brooklyn Bridge Park that night, and or no, was it not? Yeah, and they were gonna have rain it out because rain was supposed to come, and then it didn't. That was no fun. So my husband's like, "Well, we're in New York City. What are we gonna do?" And he goes, "Let's get tickets to Billy Joel." And so last minute, we got really good seats. We were like lower row, like not that far from the stage, and they were cheap because they were last minute. So we got to see, and he's phenomenal in concert, like really, really good. So
we'll have to see him.
I
Well,
know. I'm
speaking
giving
of,
a shout out to lots of
Yeah.
brands and stuff tonight.
we're getting sponsorship for this episode from
There you
both
go.
McDonald's
I
and
hope
Billy
so.
Joel.
McDonald's, Billy Joel, you better be paying attention.
He was amazing. Oh my gosh.
This has been amazing.
It
I'm
has
so
been.
sad that we have to finish this.
Yes.
But thank you
Well,
so
it's-
much.
Of course. This has been fun. Again, this is not work. This is joy, right? This is science
joy. Talking
joy.
science. We're gonna do this again, I hope.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Call me anytime. We just have to sync up the time zones, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Or
But
just have
yeah.
Kovi come here, and it's much easier.
Much
Or I have not yet visited Australia. We could go
Me
to
either.
Kovi.
Okay, deal. Done
I
deal.
mean, I'm down with that. We'll just go over there.
All right. Next time in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And until then, where can people find you online?
So you can find me. My main website is jenniferswansonbooks.com. And you can find my podcast is solveitforkids.com. But I'm also on YouTube under Jennifer Swanson Books. I mean, I'm on Pinterest. I mean, all over the place. But if you go to my main website, you'll find a lot of that stuff there, and also where all of my books are and everything. But thank you guys so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Us.
I mean, I love geeking out about science. This is great.
It's the best.
Totally. As you're talking about Legos, I'm looking at my space shuttle Legos, which are all Australian.
Okay, so you can cut this part or whatever if you want, but I will tell you guys this. So, have you heard of the World Book Day in the UK? So it is a festival that they have once a year, and they pick books to they pick like 10 or 12 books that they turn into these little teeny tiny books like this. Okay. And it's called £1 book day. So what they do is the publishers make these books that are worth £1 and they can sell them to kids. Kids can come, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they took half of my Lego Amazing Earth book and half of the Lego Amazing Space book, and they created this Lego Amazing Universe book.
Ooh.
But in this book, see, like this is the Lego Earth book. I don't know if you can see the green one there at the top. Mm-hmm. That's my Lego Earth book. Okay, so in this book, they decided to be really, really cool, and they made us Lego minifigures. So
that is so cool.
Wait, here is it. I'm dropping it on the ground.
You have your own Lego?
Oh my god.
This is me.
You actually have it.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool.
You can't buy a Jennifer Swanson Lego. However, because this is like somebody's standing on a bridge scene or whatever. But the Lego people went through and picked someone that looked like me. But can you see she's wearing a like Argyle sweater vest?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have literally, I think it's my 8th grade picture. I'm wearing an Argyle sweater vest with a tie. Not this color, but yeah. and
If
glasses, and
that's not
she has
motivation to
better
get
hair
young
than
kids
me.
to think about being an author, I don't know what is. I swear to
Yep.
God, that is it.
So, so this is me. So my kids are all. My son says to me, because we're all Lego maniacs. My son says to me, "Well, that's it. You're done, mom. Like,
Yep. Gotta quit.
you're a Lego minifigure. So there you go. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So
I've just unlocked a new life goal, and it's to become a Lego figure.
it was well, it was cool because I got to meet Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson in person, and we went into his office and his little minifigure was there, and I was just like, "See, there you go, yes." But I was like, "Can I put my little minifigure next to yours?" You know, like
Well,
Legos are just the coolest thing, right?
they are.
So cool.
They are.
I mean, it's just when I was at the Naval Academy, do you remember, Benjamin, when they didn't have all of the instructions, right? And you just got do you remember when you got the kit without the instruction? You just built whatever you want. So my two brothers built an aircraft carrier, like on their own, figured it out, and like then took a picture of it and sent it to me because I was at the academy. And I was like, this is really cool. It took them
That is
months.
awesome.
Like my mom was like, "Cool. Are you building again today?" You know, like,
Way to go, Mom.
it was awesome. Yeah. So anyway,
Love that. Love that. All right, Benjamin, where can people find you on the internet if they want to see you or see our other episodes?
Yeah, please, if you're looking for your daily dose of science facts, please go to Science Actually on Facebook or all the other places. And if you want to see our faces making the sounds you're listening to, please go to look up the Nerd and Scientist on YouTube, on TikTok. Actually, I think our TikTok is just Science Actually. Also, doesn't matter. We're all over the place. YouTube, TikTok, all the places they get your podcasts. And how about you, Copy? Where the heck are you?
Folks can find me on all the good social media platforms as well as the bad ones at Fun Fact Science. Let us know what you want to see on future episodes, which guests you'd like. If you are yourself a scientist or science writer or science adjacent person you'd like to come on the show, feel free to reach out to us. And we'll see you all next time, the next episode of Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist.
Ta-ta.